Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Chaos and Mayhem written by Lord Henry 7878. There is a link to the playlist in the doobly-doo. Chaos and Mayhem, a sexy space babes story part 16. From what I knew about Monsieur Duchat, he was scary. Outside he had run a minor gang of French-Canadian folks, and not in the hockey, maple syrup, brewski, a sort of way. More the gouge people's eyes out with a spoon sort of way. Uncle Bill and I had tried to get in contact with him before he disappeared. Guess I knew what happened to him. Needless to say, I was scared as I walked down the cell block. Once I got there, two guys stopped me and patted me down before letting me in.
Mr. Duchat.
Ah, yes. Yes. The infamous Thomas Steinberg. I'll admit, a weedy old man with a few wispy tufts of hair was the last thing I expected from the infamous Benoit Duchat. Maybe more. Spider, from Elysium, or the crazy machete-wielding gangster from District 9. This old guy didn't look like he had the strength to fight his way out of a wet paper bag. His hands shook as he put on his glasses. My nephew told me what you did for him, son. His nephew? I looked, and lo and behold, it was the man I helped in the shower. Rena Duchat. Awarded the Silver Star in Afghanistan, came home and helped run my operations, and, of course, the man you assisted in the shower.
So what do you want with me?
I was a little confused. You helped out my boy, and now we want to return the favor. I, for one, was just relieved I would get to keep my eyes. When Jeff said they were all political prisoners, I knew that wasn't completely true. If my experiences had taught me anything, there were some hardened, dangerous criminals in with the patsies and pusses. Can you believe this? Helicopter pilot in Afghanistan, just to wind up here at the mercy of horny alien bitches when the cards shuffle. Nobody deserves to be here, my young Thomas Steinberg. And that brings me to you. The elder Duchat shifted in his chair. How would you like a way out? Did I hear that right?
I'm sorry, what?
We have a bit of a plan, Renat admitted. And we all have our part to play. We're going to start a riot. It's less of a prison riot and more all-out war, the elder Duchat explained.
Okay.
I said.
So, what would you have me do?
Kill the warden, of course. Well, that was something you needed a betas for. Guess that was me. Renard spoke up. I'm coming with you. My uncle promised you freedom. Once we're done, if you can get me to the landing pad, I can get you out.
What about your uncle?
I looked at the old man. He had to be at least 80. I'm old, son, Mr. Duchat admitted. I don't need such excitement. Besides, Renard intends to retrieve me once he's gone. That was that, then. Renard and I bounced. As we spoke, Duchamp's men were forming teams and spreading throughout the prison. Oi! Fuck you doing, a guard in the cafeteria demanded before the cafeteria team repeatedly shanked her and beat her down with cafeteria trays. Similar happenings went on all across the prison. In the low-security exercise yard, inmates beat down their captors with dumbbells and 5-pound plates to the head. All across the prison, interior tactical teams were deploying. Some had to be shipped in from other sites. The situation was worsening. Armored soldiers stormed the halls of the facility, brandishing shields and the latest tech the Imperium could provide. And it still wasn't enough. Turned out nothing in the universe could stop someone with a sharp stick and nothing to lose. The unruly mobs mobbed the soldiers, tearing them apart. I would learn about this later. Apparently they had put all their guards out at once, rather than keeping some on standby like in human prisons. The Shilvati knew that they would be able to count on the size and technological differences to keep us humans in line. None of them thought we'd find workarounds. None of that mattered when 4 humans attacked a guard at once and were now pulling her head off. Humanity, fuck you, air. Renard and I stepped out into the chaos and surveyed the mayhem. Almost immediately, we were greeted by a Shilvati soldier fighting and straining as 4 guys pulled her limbs in opposite directions. Fighting and straining, that is, till a 5th guy ran by, shanking her as he went. I picked up her battle rifle, the oversized ergonomic grip feeling weird in my arms as we made our way through the fracas.
Jesus.
I guess as a helicopter pilot, this up-close and personal stuff was new to my savior. We stumbled out through the carnage, stepping over people and passing by several scenes of slaughter. There were guys strangling guards with barbed wire. There was a guy biting chunks out of somebody's neck, and oh, there were some nice folks going all American History X on some guards, just like the guards had done to me. Those Shilvati jaws went with a nasty crack. Had mine broken like that? Eventually we left the prison complex, making our way out into the courtyard. I was blinded, none of us had seen natural light in months, not since the situation had worsened, and we'd all been confined to our cell blocks. Then the shots rang out. I ran for it as sniper shots kicked up dirt and debris around me. Renard went the other way, running in straight lines. Uncle Bill had taught me not to zigzag if there was a sniper. It just kept you out in the open longer. The problem with the yard was that it was specifically constructed so there would be no cover in the event that prisoners, busted out. I could see someone trying to climb the fence when I heard the crackling of those shield guns. Apparently it was the air around the laser bolt expanding and contracting or something. He flopped to the grass with a hole the size of a baseball in his back. I jumped as another shot rang out, feeling the warm rain of gore as someone popped like a balloon. What surprised me was, when I cracked my eyes open, that gore was blue. Renard felt it too. He looked around feverishly.
Huh?
I looked up real quick as another shot crackled across the courtyard. A puff of blue mist sprayed from one of the guard towers, and I swore I saw a figure give us the thumbs up as we made it back inside. The offices were relatively empty, most of the guards were outside or in the cell blocks. This meant I could make it to the warden's office fairly easily. "All right," Renard said as we approached the office. "This is where we part ways for now. There's somebody else I need to get." And with that, he was gone. Guess I was alone again. When I kicked open the door to the office, the warden stared at me calmly, shaking with suppressed laughter even. "Do you really think that weapon will work for you? A prisoner with a stolen weapon?" The laughter was no longer suppressed. "Face it, Brutherfucker. This whole damn planet of stiffs. You've lost, and we will make sure you know it." She had a real inner-city gangster voice I didn't particularly like. It sounded condescending.
"Nothing I can do, huh?"
I fucking muted the gun at her head. It bounced off, clattering to the floor. This was my opportunity. I grabbed a screen off the desk and swung, sending a tusk flying. She was, however, a sturdy bitch. Warden Anzelin picked me up, swinging me around face first. I saw stars as I hit the wall. "You think I got to where I am by rolling over every time a man isn't happy?" She threw me down on the desk, and her fist thudded into my face repeatedly, and damn did she hit hard. I swear if it weren't for all the steel in my skull, my head would have caved in. She kept punching till I grabbed her hand and bit a chunk out of it. Dr. Mortis had made my steel teeth extra sharp because he thought they'd help me survive in prison. As it was, I bit her hand clean in half. I was a little excited, truth be told, I'd been looking for a reason to do this. I then kicked the screaming alien in the knee, and she went down hard.
Did anybody ever tell you about human history?
I asked.
Or did you just think savages and your mind goes to that ravaged by a savage thing? 'Cause the thing about savages is, we're savage. If you saw the things we did to each other, just think what we'd do to you.
I don't know how accurate my monologue was, I think the gist was right. Guards! She yelled. That was a bad sign. Now, I had limited time. I just started throwing whatever I could pick up at her. Pens and boxes of paper clips twanged off her head until I swung the keyboard into her face. I noted with some satisfaction that the F, U, C, K, Y, and O keys, plus a bloody tooth clattered to the floor. Just like that movie. By now, of course, the guards had busted in, and they looked more heavily geared up than the guards I'd seen thus far. Those had just been dressed like regular Marines, those armored catsuits and the headsets, and maybe those weird motorcycle helmet things. These ones wore some kind of heavy ceramic plates, and what looked like a ski mask and thermal goggles on their heads. This was all topped by a helmet that wouldn't have looked out of place in an Earth army. And all deep black.
Well fuck.
I quickly scrabbled around for the rifle, raising it. I squeezed the trigger, and it vibrated a little bit. Other than that, not much. Whatever. I threw the gun at the guards, and it exploded on impact. The one guard collapsed to the ground looking more like a bag of flesh, her rib cage had been completely shattered, and her insides spilled out. The other was on the floor clutching the side of her face. I was blinded and deafened totally. It felt like I was looking through a cloud, but I could still see. I would later learn that these weapons could only be fired when held by someone with a transponder in their gloves. There existed a setting that would just make the gun explode, but most of the time they just didn't fire. Seems I lucked out. From the explosions I could hear in the distance, it seemed Site 3 used the explodey setting. In the meantime, I grasped the warden's head. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but it seemed to end with animals.
What was that?
I bent down and theatrically cocked an ear towards her.
You want to apologize for the way your guards acted.
It may have been a tasteless joke, but if she had, I can't say I would have continued my grisly business. You and your whole race are a bunch of animals, the injured warden spat. Too stupid to be grateful, too stupid to even understand what we've done for you.
What, like killing a cool 100 million people? Yeah.
We uplifted you, and yet you still behave this way.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
I asked softly.
It seems when you treat people like animals, they behave like animals. I'm amazed you Shilvati don't seem to grasp that.
I positioned my thumbs over the warden's eyes and pressed. She screamed as blue blood and black goo oozed out from beneath my thumbs. Eventually the warden stopped thrashing and hollering. Later still, blood stopped oozing from the alien's eye sockets. As I walked out, Renard caught up with me. And who should be in tow but Jeff? Mr. Steinberg.
Renard. What's going on?
Let's see if I got this right, mob kid turned helicopter pilot turned actual mobster looked like somebody had attacked him with a lawnmower. He was splattered in blood, both red and blue. I was sure some of it was even his own. Helicopter pad. Now. Jeff chimed in. They have a helicopter for some reason. I didn't have the heart to tell him that helicopter was the reason we were here. I had an idea why they had a helicopter too. The basic idea of a black site was that it was secret, even from your own side, right? So why use the technologically advanced gunships and landing craft that constantly broadcasted their positions to command, right? They must have sourced a helicopter for secret black site work. The three of us ran through the halls. There was a sign that, with my limited grasp of shill, seemed to say landing craft this way until we were accosted by a guard. Without breaking a stride, Jeff and I pulled out whatever we had. I had a piece of broken glass with a sharp point, he had a toothbrush with a razor blade inside. We advanced on the guard, ignoring her shouts to halt, and just started stabbing. It occurred to me, as we walked off, that this was the first time I'd seen Jeff directly attack anybody. Remember, kind old man who fixed the kids' toys. If he needed someone gone, he cashed in a favor. This was a new Jeff I kinda liked. He was someone good to have. As we made it to the landing pad and snuck our way onto the helicopter, Renard jumped in the pilot's seat as he ignored the demands from the tower to stand down. I got on the door gun. Uncle Bill had taught me a little about firing machine guns back when we were in the woods. We'd practiced with logs. Apparently we were supposed to fire in bursts about as long as it took to say die, motherfucker, die. All that training went out the window as I opened up on the Shilvati guards swarming out to the landing pad. I opened up, sweeping the machine gun from side to side, shattering bones, removing limbs, and generally chewing up the Shilvati. These big bullets didn't just make holes, they blew away the surrounding flesh. The barrel was glowing cherry red when I was done. By now, Renard had taken off, and we flew over the prison walls and fences. Down below, the other inmates had busted out through the entrance. There was a battle going on below. End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode, and do all the other YouTube stuff. Visit and support the author. All the relevant links are in the doobly-doo, and comment your opinions, good or bad. And I'll see you next time. And as usual, have a wonderful day.